Welcome back to the Cricket Matters podcast. Today's topic is the fatal flaw in most club cricketers' batting technique. Thank you for the long title, James. And how to spot it. So, let's talk. Most club batters will not have a clue that, one, they have a fatal flaw or what that fatal flaw is. So start at the very start. What is that potential fatal flaw that they're missing?
This might confuse a lot of people who go to the gym and have seen knees over toes guy. Okay, knees over toe guy is been
Not
around all the podcasts. He's not a cricketer yet. He's a basketball athlete. He promotes his knees over toes training method. Yeah. But the problem is knees over toes when batting. Let me try and explain this. A lot of club cricketers have come to me recently, and I see game to game they set up in their stance when they're trying to bat, whether left or right-handed, and their knees are going over their toes, right?
Yeah.
They think they're getting into a powerful position, an aligned position, ready to start batting.
I was going to say that is not a powerful athletic stance because you're unbalanced. You can't really go anywhere from there, can you?
Nope. Well, exactly. What this week is into. So they think, again, it's a high-level concept. They don't know the difference between a hinge and a squat. Now, you're probably going, well, I can squat, I can hinge. Well, I'm going to argue differently and say that if you're doing this, your brain hasn't got the motor control dialed down to understand how to move and position your hips and knees in space and time, right? So, again, very good analogy. Would you ever see a tennis player looking to return a serve in Wimbledon with their knees over their toes like this, going...
No, absolutely not.
You're like a robot. You're stuck in quicksand. You're moving. You don't. What they do, they get their hips back. They're on their feet, ready to go, and they get ready to pop and go and try and return the serve.
They have a beautiful hinge position, basically, don't they?
Exactly. They are top athletes who own that hinge movement pattern. Now you go think, well, you're not going to stick your arse back in cricket and like become a cricketer with face on. I know that, but you've got to be able to hinge back slightly before you sit down to have the perfect kind of optimal weighted stance that allows you to access all areas of the ground. If you're home now, you can't really do it in the car if you're listening in the car, but if you push your knees over your toes, right, it turns off your glutes. Your glutes, all the strength and everything is coming from your quads, and you're getting stabilized by your calves, which is why we have super tight calves most of the time. Okay, by doing this, you can't move athletically up and down the wicket. You may think you are, and you can stand there and try and hit the ball. But what tends to happen is, in this unathletic position, you then try and play anything in your legs by opening up, you fall your head over, and you're screwed. Quite essentially. That's in a nutshell.
I was going to say, is that why a lot of people
in a
also
nutshell
start falling over and stuff as well, because that position?
Yeah. So knees over toes, the weight is going this way, because their knees are going in. They may think they're balanced, but the weight's going this way. So the only way they can move is by falling over, and they can't rotate and move. It's just a super unathletic position that doesn't allow you to get into a better position to make better contact with the ball or move accordingly. It is unathletic, and the problem is that your brain can't distinguish that pattern anymore. It's lost that fatal... It's the fatal flaw of, like, we can't distinguish the pattern of, well, how do I move my hips in space and time? You have no proprioception, essentially. And so, there's no way of you knowing how to move it. So you've got to retrain that body pattern.
Well, you say retrain it, but is it a pattern that most people are naturally used to anyway? We all squat because we all sit on the toilet, essentially. So that's a squat.
Yeah.
But not most of us, unless you train, don't hinge. So not very often.
No, but even when people train, they don't hinge.
Yeah, exactly. Even when they train, they don't hinge properly. They think they're hinging.
People tend to squat to deadlift.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you been in the gym, James, and seen people squatting the kettlebell swing?
Swing all the time. Again, and it's retraining people who think they're deadlifting, but they're actually squatting. And it's a very important distinction to make you more powerful because, again, how do you hit bombs when you're playing cricket? You've got to transfer the weight from your feet through the core to the hands. But guess what else comes into play? Extension through the hip. Glute power. Like, if you can't access your glutes, how are you going to maximize that, the top end? It just can't. It's just not there. If you can't use your glutes, you can't jump, you can't run. So what we tend to see is A lot of people who stand with their knees over their toes, they have pancake butt, as the Americans call it. Because guess why? We know their glutes aren't firing. The glutes aren't working. They haven't trained their glutes. And guess what also means? Their core isn't working. So it becomes a thing. So a lot of the guys I've been working with recently, they come to me, I'm seeing this floor, the knees are over the toes. I very quickly test their hinge pattern. They can't hinge. So before we go into any technical work with their batting, I've got to fix their hinge first. Tristan Tyler, if you're listening, you know what I'm on about. Because that's what he's been working on a lot over the last month or so.
Is that the fix? Then we need to pattern the hinge and learn how to hinge correctly.
Exactly. So again, I'm not saying you stick your arse out and go all the way back and you're falling over like this. It's not. It's understand how to move your hips back and forth. Because if you've got your knees over your toes, you're in a weak position. You're in a slow position, right? You can't move athletically up and down the wicket, right? You're also going to struggle on the onside. Because as me as a left-hander, it means I can't open up. My shoulder has to open up. My hands go out. You play across the line inside. I have to fall over. You're always going to struggle, basically. So the fix is, which we're going to do a video on this. Maybe we do it in the new studio. Just dropping that in there very quickly. At some point, showing them how to break that hinge pattern. So have that common fault. We then show them how to break it down and go back into the gym and we're back onto the net and show it how it works. But if your knees are over your toes, not only is it a technical flaw, it is a physical limitation that's going to restrict you from your batting and dominating in games.
So before we finish off, a couple of quick drills that people can do to start patterning and learning the hinge.
Yeah, really, really good, interesting. Simple. Find a wall, super expensive. You are then going to take 1 foot length away from the wall with your feet wide and shoulder width apart. So literally go 1 foot length away. I'm going to reach back and try and touch your bum to the wall. Right? Without falling over. Without falling back and sitting, without your toes coming up. Right? And all your weight shifting to your heels. Can you sit in this position with your hips back? Then, try and go another half foot away. Can you reach your bum back here without sitting down and falling back? If you can't do that, I know for a fact you don't own that hip hinge. Right? Because you're looking to squat down because your bum can't touch the wall as opposed to hinge back. And again, think of your hinge as like a slingshot, a catapult. If I'm Josh, if I'm going to take you out with my little homemade wooden catapult, right, with my little rubber bands in, right? If I literally just pull back a little bit and go, meh, it's just going to plop out, isn't it? But if you're like 10 meters away and I'm going to knock you out, right between the eyes, I'm going to draw it right back and go ping, like that.
Well, there you go, exactly. Your hammies are the strings of that bow, so you really should be feeling them.
Exactly, that's great. That's a great point. Thank you. Exactly. So people don't know how to do it, and sometimes people's hammies are tight because their core doesn't work. So the glutes and core and hammies and the adductors all work in sync. And if you don't own that system, you need to see somebody about it. Maybe we can help.
I was going to say, maybe you can help.
Exactly.
There we go. See us in potentially a new location. Well, keep your ears and eyes out for that one. That is it for today. Please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. And if you would like our free training plan, then go to cricketmatters.com/train. And remember, our goal is to make you a better cricketer.